Feel like I should be like Bruce Bucker here and say, "We are live." Bruce Buffer, the guy that does the UFC. Hello, everybody. Big Paulie coming to you. See the particulars as to what we're going to be doing here in a few minutes. 3 minutes, 48 seconds away from launch. I feel like I should be over in Cape Canaveral. Lots of things in the news. Yankees will be playing the Rays as I record this. All kinds of shenanigans going on with the oil in this country. I was just reading a report on Drudge. 1,000 gas stations have already run out of gas due to the shortage caused by hackers in Russia, or so it is said at this point in time. Maybe by the time you people see this on YouTube Wednesday night, we're trying to aim to play 3 games tonight, and I'll explain the premise this week. And if this premise works, we might make this a thing because we're going to play Major League Baseball from 1971, the year I was born, and kind of a salute to the 1971 baseball season. Hope you enjoyed a little cover. The guy on the left is Duke Snider, my mother's favorite ball player, so I would thought that would be a nice thing to have as we stream. And when we begin, I'll give a shout out to somebody who mentioned me today and my new ventures here on Twitch, and I thank him very much for that. 2.5 minutes to go, and I do this on and off on my YouTube channel. I'll have a little countdown, and I'll do a little talk up to when the live stream starts. Be off tomorrow, and then I will do my rounds on YouTube for the weekend. Do the meet on Thursday. Friday, I will do Glory Days Boxing, which I call Big Paulie's Fight Night. Got some brand new dice. So we're going to go back to the way it's supposed to be done. Cards and dice, making everything nice, as Al Red Sox fan would say. And we have a big heavyweight fight to do. Just one fight, and that will be Friday night, and then Saturday we do Grand Slam Wrestling, and I already have a couple of matches in the can for that, and we should have some good times coming up this week ahead as this ever-changing world looking like it's going to be changing again with this gas crunch that we're now facing, and Godspeed to everybody affected by it. And I will hope that it doesn't last long, because if it does, it's going to be a brand new crisis, just as our country was recovering from another one. And let's just hope all goes well with that and that it ends soon. We're down to the last minute before we play some Major League Baseball from 1971. I set this up waiting to do the stream. I was going to do something else, and then all of a sudden it just came to mind. Why don't we play some ball games from 1971? And the goal of this series, Random Acts of OOTP, is to do these things, show you how easy it is to create a league. There is a place on the OOTP discussion board where you could get old ballparks, historical ballparks, and I downloaded all the ballparks I need for 71, and it got it all set up, and it took me about maybe 30 to 45 minutes, maybe closer to 30. So stand by, everybody. We'll be getting underway, and I'll be coming on camera in 12 seconds. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Random Acts of OOTP. I'm Big Paulie, better known over here on Twitch as TB Paulie. And today we're going to play some games from 1971, which was the year I was born, 50 years ago, this year in Major League Baseball. And it looked a little different in 1971. Speaking of looking a little different, here I am. I'm Big Paulie coming to you. TB Paulie here on Twitch. And we'll be playing our games in just a moment. 1971, this is the year after Baltimore defeated Cincinnati to win the World Series. So they're defending their American League crown, as is Cincinnati in the National League. Guy named Hank Aaron has hit a whole ton of home runs. He's closing in on, even in 71, seemed the impossible. Babe Ruth's home run record of 714. By this point, I think he was at 590. and we'll check that's going to be our first game, by the way, is Cincinnati and Atlanta. Atlanta traveling to Riverfront Stadium, which was brand new at this point, to play Cincinnati. When we're going to do a couple other games, and we're going to get on out of here. My heartfelt thanks to Retro Sports Network and Uncle Ron Juckett for mentioning me on his show today, as he was doing, I think, a game between St. Louis and Pittsburgh from 1949. If you don't know, Ron also hosts the Digital to Dice podcast along with Dave Gardner, one of the best podcasts out there pertaining to what I like to call low-tech sports gaming. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. The board games that have become computer games, and the computer games that are not very easy for anybody to use. That's kind of the jour with Digital to Dice, and we thank Ron for the mention. So let's head to 1971. I set this up on OOTP. It took me about maybe a half hour to 45 minutes to download the parks, peruse the rules, set up Tiger Stadium to host the All-Star game, and thought we would play a few games from 1971. First game will be Atlanta at Cincinnati. And here are the lineups. We'll go over Atlanta's first. Garr in left, Evans at third, Hank Aaron at right. And let's check Hank. Let's see where he is on the home run total at this point in his career. I was saying 590. I was wrong. It was 592. So I did not give him the credit he deserved, with my apologies. Orlando Cepeda at first base. Earl Williams catching. Mike Lum, your center fielder. Felix Milan at second. And Sonny Jackson shortstopping. Phil Niekro, the pitcher for the Braves. We'll go to the Reds. Gene Locklear is the center fielder. Pete Rose in right. Tony Perez at third. Johnny Bench catching. Lee May in first base. Bernie Carbo left field, Tommy Helms second base, Dave Concepcion your shortstop, and the pitcher Gary Nolan. And we take you now to Riverfront Stadium, 52-degree day, and we will set up the camera angles, see if we have any wide or low like that. There we go, and we'll look at the pitch. I like to use center field TV camera. And the action view was also wide and low. And if the center field camera for the pitches looks a little wonky, we can always go to another camera. So Ralph Garr leading off, I set the ratings to be 1 to 100. Of course, the default for OOTP is to use 20 to 80, which is along the lines of what Major League Scouts use with intervals of 5. So Nolan on the mound. He's facing Ralph Garr. Let's get the game started. Riverfront Stadium, only 27,000 at Cincinnati. Here's your pitch coming up. Yeah, that don't look too good. This is hit to the center fielder, and he makes the catch, 1 out. So let's change the view of where the pitch is coming from. How about batter's box camera? Darrell Evans, 65 power, 72 eye. We'll see how it looks to him. Yeah, that still doesn't look too great. Ball 4, and Evans aboard, runner at first with 1 out. So let's try this again. And let's try the home plate camera. Nolan facing Hank Aaron. Ball 4. So Aaron aboard, and there are 2 on, 1 out for the Braves. I still don't like the camera setup. How about batter's box camera? We're going to do it till I get it right. Here's Orlando. He could mash. Yeah, this is the angle that I just rejected. Hit the center. Looked like it was caught by Locklear for the second out. I'll get the angle right eventually, folks, and if not, I could just use home plate TV camera. We'll try that. Earl Williams. Now this I like. That's a base hit up the middle. Will it drive in a run? It does. It's 1-0 Atlanta. So Earl Williams with the RBI single, and it is 1-0 in favor of Atlanta with Cincinnati yet to bat in the first. Here's Mike Lum, average hitter, really. Pitch. And that is a grounder to the second baseman over to first. And Atlanta is out of the first with a 1-0 lead. Still looking for a good pitch view here. Do wide 2. Gene Locklear, good base runner, not a great hitter. He's facing Necro, master of the knuckleball. And that is sharply hit to center for a base hit, just bounces off the turf at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. So Locklear at aboard with a single. That brings up the hit king, Pete Rose, hit his career hitting .309, 90 homers and 485 RBIs to this point in his career, going up to 1970. We'll see what happens to him here. That is a stolen base attempt. Out! So Williams nabbing Locklear, and that's the first out for Cincinnati. Here in the first. Now this camera I could get used to, and that's a grounder to the first baseman. Cepeda takes it to the bag. 2 gone for Cincinnati. Tony Perez up. He's the new hitter. Strike 3, so Cincinnati can only muster that 1 hit, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left on base. End of 1. It's 1-0. Atlanta. Felix Milan facing Gary Nolan. And that is hit to right, I think. Caught by Rose. 1 gone. Now you got Sonny Jackson, the shortstop, facing Nolan. Pitcher spot coming up next. And in 1971, by the way, both leagues, you did not use the designated hitter. Jackson's going to get in there for a double, as that ball went right by the right field line in the right field, and Jackson on board, a 2-bagger. So Phil Necro, not a bad power hitter. He's 25, not bad for a pitcher at all. And that's a grounder to third, over to first to get the second out. Jackson had to hold at second base. And now you got Ralph Garr, good contact hitter, up for the Braves. So they've batted around already, and we haven't even gotten out of the second inning yet for Atlanta. The pitch coming to Garr, smoked. Will that split the gap? No, it's caught by Rose, and that retires the side for Atlanta in the second. So it's 1-0 Braves. Johnny Bench, your new hitter. Phil Necro pitching to him. And he'll throw that knuckleball. Grounder to short over to first, and that's the first out for the Reds. Lee May, your new hitter. That's hit in the air to right. And that is Aaron making the catch. 2 gone. Bernie Carbo now up for Cincinnati, who would later be a hero for the Red Sox in the 75 World Series. That hit to the center fielder, Lum. He makes the put out. And Cincinnati going meekly in the second. So 1-0 as we head to the third. Here's Darrell Evans, Dewey, the third baseman. Take a look at him. You were wondering about him. 1971, he only made $19,840, and he would go on to play for San Francisco and Detroit before his career ended in the 80s. So Nolan working to Evans. So yeah, both teams in 71 still use the pitcher's hitting rule. The designated hitter would not take effect, I believe, until 73. Hank Aaron now up for the Braves in the third. Strike three, so he's got a strikeout now to go along with his walk. That brings up Orlando Cepeda facing Gary Nolan. 2 walks and a strikeout so far in 2 2/3. That's a strikeout. So that evens up the walks and strikeouts through 3 innings. At the end of 2.5, 1-0 Atlanta. Tommy Helms, along with Concepcion and Nolan, the projected hitters in the third. And Helms, that sounded like it was sharply hit off the bat, but it went right to the second baseman, who threw to first, Cepeda. So Milan to Cepeda, and there's one gone. Dave Concepcion, the 8-hitter, the shortstop. That's a slow grounder to the shortstop. He might beat it out. He does. No, he does not. He does not. A friendly hop. Sonny Jackson got a kind little roll from the turf on that, and there is now 2 gone. Nolan, the pitcher, grounder over to first for the out. I didn't catch who that went to. Should I look at it again? Yes, let's look at it again. Yeah, grounder to the second baseman over the first. Okay. So the top of the fourth we go now. Here's Earl Williams, who drove in the RBI. Earlier in the first inning. As a grounder to second base, over to first for the out. Real time, the Yankees just homered in the first inning against Tampa Bay. But that happened yesterday if you're watching this on YouTube on Wednesday. And if you'll pay me, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Here's Mike Lum, the Atlanta hitter, with 1 out in the fourth. Grounder to short over to first, and there are 2 outs. Next stop will be Shea Stadium for a Mets game. Tom Seaver will be starting, and that'll be our next game. We're going to do 3 games for you to open up the season, and then our last game will involve the Baltimore Orioles. Grounder to short over the first, and a very quick inning for Atlanta in the fourth. So we go to the bottom of the fourth after 3.5. It's 1-0. Locklear up, as Necro has nearly been perfect. That's a pop to the first baseman, Cepeda. He makes the put out, and there was 1 gone in the fourth for Cincinnati. The Pete Rose, the hit king, wears number 14 in real life, but they issue him 86 on this game, and I didn't have the time to set all the numbers for every player in baseball, all 600 of them. 24 teams, 25 men a team. 2 gone. Here's Perez at third base. Cincinnati's been very quiet so far in this game. Necro pitching well. We'll go to the fifth. 1-0 Atlanta. Here's Sonny Jackson. And Jackson, that sounded well as that came off the bat. But to the center fielder Locklear for the first out in the 5th inning. Necro hitting now against Gary Nolan, 4 1/3, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Here's the pitch to him. That's a strikeout. Tried to hold up on a swing to Necro, but not to be, says the umpiring crew. Ralph Garr up for the 3rd time today, 3rd time through the order. Grounder to second base, over to first. And Atlanta very quickly done on this 52-degree day in Cincinnati. We're midway through the game now. 1-0, midway through if we go regulation. Here's Bench, who can mash with that 75 power of his. Popped up the left field. Garr underneath it. 1 out. Lee May, your new Cincinnati hitter. Here's the pitch to him. Strike 3. He struck out. Last chance in the 5th to get something here. Here's Bernie Carbo. And that could be trouble. Let's see. caught by the center fielder, which was Lum. And it's now 1-0 heading to the sixth. Nolan's still in. Of course, this is back in an era where starting pitchers would go longer. He's facing Darrell Evans again. Third time through the lineup for Darrell. Grounder to the pitcher. Can he make the play? Safe. Darrell Evans beats out a hit. And the crowd in Cincinnati going, let's go, let's go. Aaron, the new hitter. Good contact and power hitter. And that's down the line of right field. Actually, not on the line, but that allowed. Let me see here. That was Evans, who went from first to third on the base hit. So there's now runners at the corners, nobody out. And Atlanta trying to capitalize here with Cepeda at the plate. Grounder to the first baseman, over to the bag. 1 out. Evans held at third for some reason. Earl Williams, your new Atlanta hitter. 1 out in the sixth. Grounder to short with the infield in. Throw over to first in time. And a good scoring opportunity is now 1 out away from turning into dust. And it's up to Mike Lum to keep it going for Atlanta. And I see the center fielder backing up. How well was it hit? Not well enough, as Locklear made a nice running catch. And we've played 5.5, 1-0 Atlanta. Darrell Cheney, the hitter. He's pinch hitting. And he would be pinch hitting for, let me see here, the second baseman. As Cincinnati tries to shake things up, we'll check the defensive positions in the next half inning. And here we go. Necro facing Darrell Cheney, who would be a color commentator eventually for the Atlanta Braves when they were on Superstation WTBS in the early 80s. And Cheney hits it to Lum for the first out. Dave Concepcion, your new hitter. You wonder here with the pitcher, the pitching spot due up, will they pinch hit? Here's Concepcion. Necro dealing. Grounded to the second baseman, over to first. 2 out. And Nolan stays in to hit. He is pitching well, as is Necro. Necro at 66 pitches. And Necro looks like he has the stamina to go all the way here, should he not get into any future trouble. Here's Nolan facing his counterpart. That's ball 4. Necro walks the pitcher. I'm a little stunned by that. Gene Locklear, your new hitter. I don't think he is any relation to Heather. As we look in, ball, that's a strike 3. Oh. Cincinnati cannot get anything going in this game. Necro pitching well. He's only allowed 1 hit through 6 innings. We go to the 7th, and it's 1-0 still. Nolan's still out there. Darrell Cheney comes in to play second base after pinch hitting. And here is Felix Milan. Started with the Mets. That's sharply hit. And that goes all the way to the wall. Milan in the second with a double, and the throw not even anywhere near in time. So Atlanta now with another scoring threat. Nolan has given up 5 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he's been out there 85 pitches. Here is Sonny Jackson, the shortstop. Grounder to the shortstop. Second base runner, which is Milan, had to freeze in his track. Necro will hit for himself. Don't want to take him out because he's pitching a good game. And he'll face Nolan. Ground to the third baseman, over to first. That is good for the second out. Ralph Garr, the last chance for Atlanta in the 7th with the 1-0 lead. See what happens here. Safe, an infield hit. Cheney knocked it down, but the throw is slow, and Cheney will not be credited for an error. It will be an infield hit. Here's Darrell Evans facing Nolan. Nolan now up to 92 pitches. And that's an out. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. And I can't play Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're going to get me in trouble with YouTube, guys. Pete Rose up. And that's a base hit. So Pete Rose, the second hit of the game for Cincinnati. And we'll keep an eye on Phil Niekro and his progress. Tony Perez up. He could change the game with a swing of the bat. All 4. So Cincinnati with their real first threat of the game. Here in the bottom of the 7th. Johnny Bench up. Another guy who could swing, who could change the game with a swing. And that is hit well. But an out for Gar. Lum called it off. He made the put out. It was actually 8 on your score sheet and not 7. So 2 on, 1 out for Lee May. That's a base hit that could tie the game. Hit the left field. Here's the throw. We're tied. Lee May with the base hit. And we are dead even now at a run apiece. So Carbo has run into trouble. Here's Bernie Carbo facing Niekro. That sounded good. That's down the line. Right field. And it's looking like Cincinnati will take the lead here. It's a question of how many runs they get. They get at least 1. And runners move to second and third on the double by Carbo. Bernie Carbo has made it a 2-1 game in favor of Cincinnati in the bottom of the 7th. Here's Darrell Cheney, who came in as a pinch hitter. Infield in for Atlanta. That's ball 4. Base is loaded now for the Reds in the bottom of the 7th. Problem is they have the 8-hitter up. It's Concepcion. That's strike 3. Now what do you do if you're Cincinnati? Do you pinch hit here? And the answer is yes. They bring in Hal McRae. So Nolan will be done after 7. He's the winning pitcher as it stands now. And let's see, did they get anything out of that? They do. Shortstop to second base for the force. And Cincinnati gets just enough runs to take the lead. We go to the 8th. 2-1 Cincinnati. Clay Carroll comes on. He's got 12 stamina, hold runner at 31. He's got 74 overall movement, 66 overall control. His velocity is 88 to 90 mile per hour. He faces Hank Aaron with 592 home runs coming into this game. Ball 4. So Aaron aboard of Base on Balls for the second time in this game. Played April 5th, 1971. Here's Cepeda, another guy who could change the complexion of the game with one swing. Hit to right, base hit. Let's see how far the lead runner advances. He'll just go to second. So it's Aaron at second. They bring in Gregory Foreman as a pinch runner, Atlanta does. Gregory Foreman. Earl Williams, the catcher, in to hit. Strike 3, and Carroll gets a big K. Mike Lum, your new hitter for Atlanta. Hit to the shortstop, over to second, over to first for the double play. And boy, oh boy, when Cincinnati needed it, they got it. And you wonder why they're going to be contenders in 71. We've played 7.5. 2-1 Cincinnati. Heading to the bottom of the 8th, here's Gene Locklear facing Niekro. Niekro's still in after giving up 2 in the 7th. His pitch total now 106. So unless Kevin Cash has a time machine, Niekro might stay in. Base hit for Locklear to get the 8th inning started. Pete Rose now up for Cincinnati. As we see that Aaron Judge homered in the Rays-Yankees game in real life on May 11th, 2021. Here's Pete Rose. Still a ways away from 3,000 hits. He would accomplish that in 1978, and that's just a long fly out to Mike Lum. 1 out. Perez, your new hitter. Sure, Atlanta will be playing for the double play here if they can get it. Down to the third, over the second for 1, over the first, a double play. So a big double play for the Bravos. We'll go to the ninth. It's 2-1. Cincinnati trying to hang on for dear life here. Here's Felix Millan. They'll have Sonny Jackson and the pitcher spot coming up. Sure, if the situation warrants, they would pull Phil Niekro. So Millan, your hitter. Well, that sounded good off the bat. Will it stay? Will it stay? It's Locklear. He makes the catch. Had plenty of room for it, and 1 out in the top of the ninth. Here's Sonny Jackson, shortstop. Not a good power hitter at all. So-so contact hitter. Here's your pitch. And that's a base hit up the middle. So now you got to bring in a pinch hitter here, right? So Jackson aboard with a single. And they might try to move him. By the way, it was Foreman who stayed in the game and played center field, so I was misidentifying him earlier in the bottom of the eighth. Foreman played center, and Mike Lum was shifted to right. Now we have a new hitter for Atlanta, Hal King. He pinch hits for Phil Niekro. And that's going to just pop in for a base hit, but the lead runner holds at second. That was just one of those Bermuda Triangle hits that just gets right past the shortstop and splits between the left and center fielders, which would be Concepcion, Carbo, and Locklear, respectively. So Atlanta with 9 hits and only a run to show for it. They go back to the top of the order, and here's Ralph Garr. 1 out, so the double play ends the game. That's skied to the outfield. Locklear catches it. They hold the runners in place, and now it's up to Darrell Evans. Evans, 1 for 3 today, and can Carroll, with 24 pitches already, get out of a jam here in the ninth? We'll find out in a few short seconds. Ground to first. He'll go to the bag, and the Reds win 2-1. And we'll take a look at the player of the game, which was Gary Nolan. 7 strong innings. His pitching score 62, although Niekro's was 65. And that's how this game ends. In other scores on opening day of 71, Washington made a late rally, won 3-2 over Oakland. And Houston did just enough to beat the Dodgers 5-3. And we will just hit the check mark here and go to our next game, which is going to be the Montreal Expos taking on the New York Mets at Shea. And this is going to be Bill Stoneman facing Tom Seaver. And we'll play one more game out for you, and then we will bid you adieu for this week. For 34 minutes, we might have time for a fourth game, and I will be very honored actually to do it. I would like to do at least 2 hours with you. And I'm looking at the pace, and unless we play a very long game, second or third game goes very long, we're going to do Baltimore, because Baltimore won the championship in 70, and the Mets won the championship in 69, so they're worthy of a look. So we'll go through the lineups for Montreal and for the Mets. 37,833 at Shea, 49 degrees, partly cloudy, wind blowing in from left at 11. And your lineup for Montreal: Boots Day at center field, Ron Hunt, your second baseman, Rusty Staub, right field, Bob Bailey at third, Ron Fairley at first base, John Bateman, the catcher, Ron Swoboda at left field, former Met, Bobby Wine at shortstop, Bill Stoneman pitching for the Mets. Bud Harrelson, shortstop. Tommy Agee, center field. Cleon Jones in left. Ken Singleton in right. Ed Kranepool at first base. Jerry Grody catching. Ken Boswell at second. Wayne Garrett at third. And Tom Seaver is your starter for the Mets. Hope the air traffic stays away as we get ready for baseball at Shea Stadium. Change the view around a little bit. Go wide like that because we don't have a wide low cam. We do have a wide TV camera. We'll just use it. So here we go. Boots Day. Shea Stadium as it looked in 1964, which really didn't change until later on in its life. And of course, now it's just a parking lot for Citi Field. So Seaver, working Boots Day. Start this game. Afternoon start at Shea. This is hit, and that is going to be a base hit. Looks like it's night out. It's not. It's actually a day game. Tom Seaver looking at Ron Hunt with Boots Day at first. He's a 61 steal rating. See if Seaver can get out of this. Grounder to the shortstop, over the first, over the second for one, and no attempted throw. Boots Day must have broken things up. So with one out, here's Rusty. The Grand Orange. The pitch. Slow grounder to third, and they could not get Staub on that, an infield hit. Bob Bailey, your new hitter. 2 on, nobody out. 2 on, 1 out, I should say. Here's Seaver.
Strike 3.
Sometimes I tease my cat that I'm going to give him treats. His name is Harry. Some of you on Big Paulie's World of Sports Sims know of him. And sometimes I will say to him words that sound like treats. And one of the words I say to him is Tom Seaver, trees, taxes, like that. Like I was going to say, like I'm going to say treats, but I'm teasing him. Ron Fairley, 2 outs, 2 on. Well, that sounded good off the bat. That's a base hit to right. Runner's going to come in for a run, and that is a safe call. Runner going for home, I should say. 1-0, Montreal on the board. Here's John Bateman. Strike 3. And the Mets finally get out of the inning, but the damage was done. They give up 1, and we go to the bottom of the first with a 1-0 Expo lead. That's right, folks. We're playing with the Montreal Expos before they moved to Washington many decades later. Here is Bud Harrelson, the shortstop. Famously got into a fight with Pete Rose in the 73 playoffs, and that was a grounder to first. First baseman steps on the bag, 1 gone. In the Met first, here's Tommy Agee to right field for a base hit. He's aboard. Agee has 76 speed and a 76 steal rating. So we might see him fly in here. Here's Cleon. And it's second baseman throwing to short at second to get the force, but nothing else happened. Bobby Wine was knocked off balance by the incoming Ken Harrelson. So if a runner at first, it's Ken Singleton. Popped it up. And looked like the right fielder got it. He did. 1-0 Montreal going to second. Tom Seaver. 2 pitchers in Major League history have won 300 games and have punched out 3,000 batters through the strikeout and have had an ERA of under 3. Tom Seaver is one of them. The other is Walter Johnson. So Seaver facing Swoboda to start the Montreal second. That is going to be popped up to right, I think, and that is Singleton. We have to put out. Bobby Wine, your new hitter. He's the 8 hitter, and then they go to Stoneman.
Strike three.
Strike 3. And Seaver could punch them out. Very effective with the strikeout. Has good stuff. His stuff rating 87. And against righties, it's 89. Here's Bill Stoneman. Stoneman, can he hang with Seaver here? He pops it up to right, maybe center. Singleton with the putout, so it went to the right fielder. Inning and a half gone by. It's 1-0 in favor of Montreal. And I will take a brief sip of water as I tell you that Ed Kranepool is your new hitter for the Mets. Grounder to second, over to first, 1 out. Jerry Grody, the new Met hitter, the catcher. And that finds the hole between the third and shortstop for the left for a base hit. So Grody aboard. Here's Ken Boswell. He's hitting second. He's the 7th hitter.
Strike three.
So I think what we will do with this series is when we do it, if it is well received and somebody says, hey, keep it going, we'll do games from May, and then we'll do the games from June, and then we probably will do games from July, do the All-Star game, then do games from August, September, and then probably do a when the season ends, we might do the last game of the season, even just to preview a team, or if there are playoff races worth watching, maybe we do the last weekend of the season. So here we go. It's not going to be, we're going to do games all along the line. This will be like a multi-part series, maybe, up to about maybe 10 parts. So Wayne Garrett up. He's the 8 hitter. Thinking off the top of my head with that. And that is hit well, but Boots Day in center field making the catch. And we've completed 2 1-0 Expos. Here is Boots Day. I'd like to get around and show you all the parks at least once. Diving catch in right field by Singleton for the first out. How about that? And that was off the bat of Boots Day. Ron Hunt, the Expos batting around now. Second time through the order for Seaver. Here's Hunt, who had a propensity to get hit by pitches. And that's to the second baseman. That's 2 out for you now on a line drive. Rusty Staub, who would also play for the Mets. Ball 4. So Montreal keeping the inning going. Seaver so far, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. He's looking at Bob Bailey now. That gets by the third baseman for a base hit. Lead runner will hold at second, so it's first and second now with 2 outs. Funny how a lot of the rallies you see in baseball get started with 2 men out. Ron Fairley up. That jumped off the bat for Fairley, and that is going to be a base hit that scores a run. Fairley with the RBI single. Staub comes in. He will score the run, and now Hurst at second with 2 outs again, but this time it's Bailey at second, Fairley at first, and John Bateman up to hit. That sounded good, but it stayed in the infield, and Montreal pads the lead. It's 2-0 going into the bottom of the third. Here is Tom Seaver. 30 power, 10 contact hitting, so you could get a hold of one. Lays up for the shortstop to come in and catch it on a line drive. That is 1 out. Bringing up Bud Harrelson. He's on with a walk. Let's try to get something going here in the third inning. Tommy Agee, 259. Game time wise, this game moves on. They're going to go for third. Play at third base, and he's safe. So runners at first and third for Cleon Jones. We'll see what he does here. Runner was moving. Delayed steal. A wild throw, and they did the delayed steal where the runner at first moved to second, and the runner at third then came in as soon as they committed to the throw. That forced an error, and the Mets cut it to 2-1 on the delayed double steal and error. They'll give Agee credit for a stolen base there. He's now at third. Cleon Jones can drive in a run here. It's popped up. No, actually, it was a dribbler in front of the pitcher. Infield hit, and did that score a run? No. Agee held it third. So runners at the corners for Ken Singleton. Stoneman in a spot. Singleton, right field line, a base hit. This may bring in two. Stoneman around second. Here's the play at the plate. Safe. And the Mets take a 3-2 lead. 2 RBI single for Ken Singleton on a double. It was actually a double, not a single. Ed Kranepool now at first base, your new hitter. To center. And they caught it for the out. So the Mets have come back robustly. 3 in the third already with 2 outs. Jerry Grody up. Base hit. Could this bring in a run? And the answer is yes. Jerry Grody with an RBI single, and it's 4-2. Boswell now up. Wild pitch, gets by the catcher. That'll move up the runner, which is Jerry Grody. Even he could go to second on that wild pitch. Or was it a passed ball? I don't know. Ken Boswell. That jumps off the bat, but caught by Day to retire the side. But the Mets do a lot of damage with 4 in the third, and they lead 4-2. Seaver now facing Ron Swoboda. Now Seaver works for a lead for the first time in the game. Popped up. Either the left or the center fielder is going to get that. It's Jones, and there is 1 gone in the 4th. So a nice momentum swing there for the Mets. Seaver now facing Bobby Wine. Grounded to third, over to first in time. 2 gone in the Expo 4th. Here's Bill Stoneman. He struck out. So it's now 4-2. After 3.5, we go to the Met 4th. Garrett, Seaver, and Harrelson, the new hitters. Pitch to Garrett to the second baseman over the first in time. We'll go back to Tom Seaver. Also has a 32-eye, 33 against right-handed pitching, which is what Stoneman is. Ball 4. So Seaver aboard. You won't find this in an American League game from 1973 and onward. Bud Harrelson, the hitter. Did he hold up? He did. So Stoneman having all kinds of trouble right now. Back-to-back walks, runners at first and second. And that brings up Tommy Agee. Ball 4, bases are loaded. Stoneman has walked the bases loaded. Now you got Cleon Jones up, facing Bill Stoneman. Grounded to the second baseman. 1 play over to first. That brings in a run, which was Seaver, and it's 5-2. Ken Singleton, the last chance for the Mets in the fourth. Grounded to the second baseman over to first for the putout. So it's 5-2 Mets as we head to the fifth. Boots Day. Strike three. Seaver now up to 5 strikeouts in the game. Here's Rob Hunt. Sharply hit to the shortstop, throws to first. 2 outs now. We head now to Rusty Staub. Popped up. Who'll catch it? Garrett catches it. 3 up and 3 down for the Expos in their fifth. It's now 5-2 heading to the bottom of inning 5. Cranepool, the new hitter for the Mets. Ball 4. So Stoneman having all kinds of control problems. He is still in there, despite the fact that he has 5 walks, 1 K, and he's been out there 97 pitches. Mets will have to try to take advantage of this all here as Grody hits it to the pitcher, over to first, and that moves the runner up from first to second, which was Cranepool. Boswell now up for the Mets. Hit the center. Made the catch. And that holds the runner at second, which was Cranepool. Wayne Garrett, your 8-hitter, up. Ball 4. And you wonder if that was kind of the unintentional intentional walk with Tom Seaver now up to hit. Grounded to the shortstop, over to first, in time. So we go to the 6th. And it is still 5-2. Mets over the Expos. Season opener for both teams, by the way. Bob Bailey, the new hitter for Montreal. Seaver pitching well. That's strike 3. That's 1 gone. And Seaver now with 6 Ks. Ron Fairley at first base for Montreal. Base hit, center field. That is hit number 6 surrendered by Seaver in the game. John Bateman catching is the new hitter.
Strike 3.
That's a strike 3. And Seaver now with his 7th K. Last hope for the inning for Montreal is Ron Swoboda. See where this is going? Center fielder. No, he dropped it for an error. The center fielder, AG, dropped it for an error, and that's going to move the runners up 2 bases. Fairley to third, Swoboda to second. AG looked like he had it, but not to be. That brings up Bobby Wine at shortstop. And Wine hits a pop to right field, I'm thinking. Singleton made the play. And actually, it was AG who came over, called Singleton off. And we go to the bottom of the 6th. It's 5-2 Mets. Bud Harrelson up for New York, or the National League team for New York. Grounder to the shortstop, over to first. A tough play, but Harrelson out. Mayshore in pain. They are taking him out of the game. Mayshore, they bring in Mike Marshall. I'm looking at the outfield here. It's Swoboda, Day, Staub, Bailey, Sutherland, Hunt, Fairley. And Mike Marshall is their new pitcher. So Sutherland has entered the game at shortstop. And I'm not seeing any changes with the Mets. I should be more aware of that. So Marshall to AG. Third base to first base for the out. If you hit it to the shortstop, good things will happen because Sutherland's defense at shortstop is 28. Cleon Jones. The lower number, the worse off you are. Ball 4. So Marshall surrenders. He came in to start the 6th inning. Stoneman had given up a lot of walks, and now Marshall gives up one. Here is Ken Singleton. Ball 4. So Montreal pitching having control issues. Ed Kranepool, the new hitter. Strike 3. If we complete 3 games and we still haven't gone 2 hours on the stream, I'll do another game. Which is looking like it is a possibility right now because I have played 6 in this, my second game, and we are at 56 minutes and 10 seconds. So Tom Seaver out. He's facing Sutherland. Sutherland came in at center. They did a double switch, so Marshall will be hitting in the 8 spot. They brought Mayshore in originally, and then he got injured on the first play. And this is going to be a double for Sutherland. We'll check Sutherland's running statistics. Oh, he's a 60 stealer, so he's good. Here's Boots Day. They'll use that 9-hitter, kind of like a second leadoff man. Grounder to Kranepool over to first for the out. Sutherland, which is an insignificant run at this point in the game, moves over to third. Here is Ron Hunt in the 7th. And that's a little duck snort for a base hit that brings in the run. And it's 5-3. Mets holding on, but now they only lead by 2. Rusty Staub, excellent hitter. Base hit up the middle. So now the Mets in a little bit of a jam. See what they do. Hunt is at second. Staub is at first. They will stay with Seaver, and he will face Bob Bailey. This is back in a time when managers would give starting pitchers every benefit of the doubt. But we'll see if this continues and see how Montreal continues. There's 1 out in the 7th. See how Bailey does. Ball 4. And the noose tightening for Tom Seaver here in the 7th inning. Base is loaded. Will they stay with Seaver? They do. He's your ace, so you should stay with him. And here's Fairley, Ron Fairley. Strike 3, a big K for Tom Terrific. And the crowd roaring its approval. Seaver is now up to 120 pitches, so I have my doubts he will go all the way. John Bateman comes on. He's the last chance for Montreal this inning. Popped up. First baseman Kranepool makes the grab. And the Mets get out of the 7th. It's Mike Marshall coming on for a second inning. He's facing Jerry Grody. Grounder to the shortstop over to first. 1 out for the Mets in the 7th. Ken Boswell, your second baseman. To the second baseman over to first. 2 outs now. Last chance is Wayne Garrett at third. Popped up. Who's going to get it? It's the left fielder, Swoboda. And we're through 7. It's 5-3. Mets leading. And Mike Zunino just hit a home run for the Rays in real life and real time. And that'll make it 2-1 in that game. Okay, back to 1971. Seaver facing Swoboda. Swoboda 0 for 3. He's wearing the collar so far today. The pitch, ball 4. So Swoboda on board. That brings the tying run to the plate. Here's Mac Jones. Gotta wonder how long they'll keep Seaver in there. Mac Jones is a pinch hitter. Pitching in favor of Mike Marshall. Ball. No, that's a strike 3. That's a strike 3. That is strikeout number 9 for Tom Seaver. So he's trying to get to 10. He's at 132 pitches. Sutherland, your new hitter, who came in to play shortstop. Looked like the runner was moving. And Sutherland was cut down on the grounder. Swoboda moved to second. That looked like they had the hit and run on. And with a 5-3 lead in the top of the 8 for the Mets, Coco LeBoy comes on. He will pinch hit. So Tug McGraw has now come in as a reliever. So it's lefty against righty here. So Tugger, let's see what he can do. Popped up to the center fielder. And it is Agee making the grab. So Montreal getting nothing and liking it in the 8th. We will reset the defense for Montreal here with McGraw coming in. They did a double switch. The Mets did in the 8th. They'll put Spriggs in the lineup defensively at third base. McGraw will hit 8th. Let's go through and see where the changes are. Adolfo Phillips appears to have entered the game in center, and I am not seeing any other changes. Claude Raymond, righty, good control ranking, about average in stuff and movement. He comes on to pitch in the Met 8th, and he'll get George Spriggs to start things off. Spriggs, good base runner, 86 speed, 76 stealing, but seems to be a below average hitter. And he takes a look at a swinging strike 3, I should say. I'll get it right one of these days. Hey, I don't call baseball games too often. I'm usually a football and boxing guy and a wrestling guy. But Harrelson, this is hit to right. And Stahl with the put out. 2 outs in the Met 8th. Here is Tommy Agee. Ball 4. No, I'm sorry, strike 3. Sorry, folks. We go to the 9th, I think, and the Mets lead Montreal 5-3. It's Ron Hunt up facing Tug McGraw. McGraw trying to get the save. He's got a 12 stamina, good stuff, good movement. See what happens here. Hits him. It hits Ron Hunt, who was no stranger in real life to that. And Montreal has a base runner in the 9th. Rusty Staub. Le Grand Orange. Ball 4, and Montreal might have something going here. Ted McGraw is still in the game to face Bob Bailey, who's got good power at 72. Ball 4, and now the Mets in a spot. Bases loaded, nobody out. Ron Fairley. Try to do damage here for Montreal. That is hit. And nobody moves after Singleton catches it. The runners all hold. They don't want to run themselves into a double play here. Base is still loaded for John Bateman. He's facing Tug McGraw. Hit to center. Out. And the runner at third has to hold again, which is Hunt, and he does not have good speed on the bases. So that may explain why. Here's Swoboda, last chance for the Expos, ironically enough, in this 1971 season opener. That's a bases-loaded walk, and it's 5-4. McGraw still in, and he's facing Adolfo Phillips, the 8-hitter. Raymond moved to the 1 hole, so they did another double switch. So they have a couple more hitters before they got that pitcher spot coming up. And McGraw ends the game with a strikeout, and the Mets survive the Expos 5-4. Seaver was your winner. He went 7 2/3, 9 hits, gave up 3 runs, had 9 strikeouts. He is the player of the game. And we'll check out the other scores real fast. The Red Sox 3-1 over the Yankees. Cleveland over Detroit 6-4. Colbert over Lolich. In the Yankee-Red Sox game, it was Culp over Stottlemyre. Oops, went a little too fast there. Minnesota defeated Milwaukee 5-4. Blyleven over Patterson. Patton Blylev and Ovid Peronowski made the save. Player of the game in the Red Sox game was Cole Pinson in the Indian Tiger game. Mitterwald in the Brewer Twin game. And Mitterwald hit a home run, his first of the year. A lot of these guys are going to hit their first of the year. Royals over the Angels 4-2. Shaw hit a home run. Drago over Messersmith. Abernathy, the save, and Drago was the MVP of that. And I believe that was all the American League action. In the National League, you just saw the Mets beat the Expos 5-4. Seaver, the MVP, he won over Stoneman. McGraw with the save. And nobody hit a home run. Willie Stargell hit a home run as the Pirates defeated the Phillies 8-7. Veal over Horner. Taylor, the MVP. In Chicago at Wrigley Field, it was the Cubs goosing the Cardinals 2-0. Jenkins over Gibson. Ferguson Jenkins also the MVP. Billy Williams with a home run for the Cubbies. Astros over the Dodgers 8-4. Durker over Sutton, and Joe Morgan was the MVP of that game. And finally, San Diego over San Francisco 3-0. Roberts over Perry. He was the player of the game. And Ollie Brown hit a home run. So let's take you now to Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. And we should have enough time for two more games. Try to get it done. And it is Baltimore hosting the Washington Senators. And this would be the last year the Senators would play in D.C. before they moved on and played in Texas. So let's go through the lineups of this third game, and we'll probably have enough time to do one more. We're at an hour and 7 minutes into the stream. Joe Foy at third base for Washington. Joby Hara, your shortstop. Richie Scheinblum at right. Frank Howard at left, Mike Epstein in first, Dale Unser at center field, Dick Billings, your catcher, Bernie Allen at second, Pete Broberg is your pitcher. For Baltimore, Merv Retherman, left field, Paul Blair, center, Frank Robinson in right, Boog Powell, first baseman, Brooks Robertson at third, Davey Johnson at second base, Mark Bellinger, shortstop, Elrod Hendricks catching, Jim Palmer, who they would call Cakes, is your Baltimore pitcher. And we take you now to Baltimore, 62-degree day for this afternoon game. The attendance 36,633, and we will set up the views. We'll go wide low. Beautiful Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. And this is another afternoon game that looks like it's being played at the dead of night. That's fine. Joe Foy. Now, my uniform for Washington is not correct. I have them in white hats with the W logo. I know that's not correct, but I didn't have time to download a whole bunch of uniform files. We'll just leave it the way it is. Palmer against Foy to get us started. This third game of the day for 1971, and we will come back next week. We'll do a fourth game this time around, and then we will play some games from May and show you how the season had been faring. Robinson with the putout, and there's one gone. First out of the game, here's Toby Hara. Strike three to him, two quickly gone. WS2 means it's the second franchise that was named the Washington Senators. The original, played up to 1960, became the Minnesota Twins. The American League then granted Washington a second Washington Senators franchise, but they would wind up moving to Texas in 1972. Here is Scheinblum, no relation. I just have the Blum part, and he is a walk, and my last name is with an O and not a U. So Frank Howard, left fielder, powerful hitter, he's facing Palmer. My dad used to tell me about how well Frank Howard could hit. That's a single to center, and they move the runners up to third and second, so a double. Some nifty base running there from the Senators, and that brings up Mike Epstein. I'm going to call them the Washington Nationals before this game's over. Epstein draws a walk. Bases loaded. Of course, that Memorial Stadium with this oval-like ballpark because, of course, the Colts spent many years in Baltimore from the, let's say, there was an AAFC version of the Colts, and then there was a 1950 version of the Colts, and I think they started playing full time in the National Football League sometime later in the 50s. Of course, they had that great team in 58 and 59, won back-to-back NFL titles under Johnny Unitas, and that one of the greatest games ever played in NFL history was the game against the Giants in 58. Slow grounder, and Orioles get out of the first with the bases loaded. They will come to hit. Washington does not score in the first. Here's Merv Redeman, the left fielder. He's facing Broberg. We haven't had a home run yet in this series, and we still haven't, as Frank Howard catches it at the warning track, and there is one gone. In the Baltimore first, here is Paul Blair. This hit well, and that drops by everybody, goes to the wall. Blair going to third. And the throw nowhere near in time, and Blair has himself a center field triple. Frank Robertson, he could mash. He's got 65 control, 65 contact, 75 power, 63 eye. And his base running, actually his base stealing is 66. He's not a good base runner. That's up the middle, a base hit. Baltimore takes the lead. Robinson with an RBI single, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Orioles in this little battle of the Beltway. Boog Powell, he could hit. His power is a 78 against righties, 74 overall. Hit looked like it was hit to left. Sometimes I cannot track these balls to save my life. So there's 2 out now for Brooks Robertson, who they call Hoover, because he could scoop up anything at third. They go to second for the force. That's the last out for Baltimore in the opening inning. They pick up a run, and it's 1-0 as we head now to the top of the second. Dick Billings, your new hitter for the Sens. And Dick hits it right to Robertson, throws to first. 1 out in the Washington second inning. Bernie Allen, second base over the first. There are now 2 outs in the Washington second inning. And that looked like it hit off the pitcher, which would be Jim Palmer. Let's check and see if he is okay. That deflected to Robertson. Actually, Robertson made the putout. Brooks Robinson made the putout. That looked like it smacked Palmer pretty good. We'll check it. Yeah, he's still in the game. And Davey Johnson will come up for Baltimore in the second. He's the leadoff man. He could hit, and that's going to be a single right in front of the center fielder, Del Unser. And already Baltimore with a threat in the second inning. Here is Mark Belanger. He is better known for his glove than it was his bat. 43 speed, 69 stealing. Grounded to the shortstop, over to second for 1, over to first, a double play. And that darkens the mood a little bit of Oriole fans. Elrod Hendricks now up. He's the catcher. If he gets on, Jim Palmer will have to hit. Grounder to second, over to first, and Baltimore scores nothing and likes it. In the bottom of the second, we go to the third. It's 1-0 Orioles. Jim Palmer still in the game. He's facing Joe Foy. Second time through the order for Palmer. That just gets by the first baseman for a base hit to right. Foy aboard. 74 speed, 73 stealing. Here's Toby Hara. And the runner was going. Easily in there was Foy, his first stolen base of the year, but this is the first game for both teams in 1971. We'll do a recap of this April 7th, 1971, and then we will play, time permitting, our last game. TV time remaining, I guess you could say. Foy against Toby Hara. Foy has just stolen second. Grounder just gets by Belanger for a base hit, but the runner will hold it third. Runners at the corners with nobody out for Richie Scheinblum, 67 control, 55 power. Grounder to first, over to second for one. They could not get the transfer over to first base, which allows Foy to score, and we're tied. 1 run each. Palmer facing Frank Howard for the second time today. Actually, this is the second time the Orioles and Senators have played each other, because I am seeing the season stats are bigger than the game stats. So my apologies on misidentifying that. Here's Howard. Ball 4. And when we come back next week and play some games from May of 71, we will go into that in greater detail. First and second for Epstein. Right now, stats mean very little. Grounder to the second baseman. He gets it to first for the putout. Nice play by Davey Johnson. But the runners move up to second and third for Del Unser. Last chance for Washington to get something going here. And that's hit to left field. But Redeman made the play. So we go to the Baltimore third, a 1-1 tie. Jim Palmer up. And that's a base hit for Cakes. Down the left field line. Will he turn two? He does. It's a double for Jim Palmer. How about that? Now that makes me want to look up his batting stats. So I could just click on him and go batting. And at this point in his career, he was hitting 152. And he has hit 3 home runs in his career up to this point. He's had 6 doubles. And of course, he just had his 6th double just now. You add the real life stats from 1970 going backward to his 1971 tally just now. Not a bad hitter. He hit 203 in 69. He went let me see here. He went 13 for 64. So he can hit. And before the DH, you had to have pitchers who could hit. Here's Redeman. Wouldn't say you had to have it, but it would be an asset if you did. Slow grounder to second over the first. They could only get 1 out, and Palmer moved to third. 1 out for Blair. Baltimore looking to retake the lead. Grounder to third. Palmer has to stay in place. Over to first for the putout. 2 outs now for Frank Robinson, not Robertson. Frank Robertson was a local anchor here in Tampa for many years on Channel 13, the Fox station. That's who I'm thinking of. And Robinson, that's a base hit. Palmer scores, and it's 2-1 in favor of the O's. Boog Powell. It's this the mile high, and the center fielder, Unser, makes the putout. We've played 3. It's 2-1 Baltimore. Dick Billings facing Jim Palmer, top of the 4th. Grounder to the shortstop, over to first in time. Bernie Allen up now facing Palmer. He's the second baseman on the Senator squad. That's a strikeout. And again, my many thanks to Retro Sports Network and Ron Juckett for mentioning me on his show today as he was doing his 49 replay between the Cardinals and Pirates. That was a good game. Uses Action PC baseball. Nearly said Action PC football. That's what I use for my hometown football league. By the way, that has not gone away. We will be starting that in September. If you follow my Big Polly's World of Sports Sims YouTube channel, could we do a few games on Twitch? Open to the idea. Hey, if the NFL can do games on Amazon starting next year, 2022, I could do a few on Twitch. Broberg up, the pitcher. And this is hit to left field. Redeman right there. He didn't have to move much to make the play. And we go now to the bottom of the fourth, a 2-1 Baltimore lead. Brooks Robinson, 61 contact against overall, 59 against righties, which is what Broberg is. That sounded good off the bat. A base hit to right. So Robinson aboard with a single. The things you saw in 71, I don't think you saw a lot of base stealing, even though the Cardinals had Lou Brock, but you saw pitchers go longer because they could. Game wasn't as specialized as it was as you see today, where you got some starters maybe going 3 innings before they're pulled. The Rays like to do that. They like to give their pitchers maybe 3-4 innings, and they got somebody who could go 3 innings as the first reliever. Here's Davey Johnson, who would go on and be the manager for a great baseball team, the 1986 Mets, who barely got by the Red Sox that year for the championship. So runners at first and second, nobody out. Here's Belanger. You bunt here? No, you do not. You hit for contact. It's a base hit. Very wise decision. Lead runner will hold. So you got Robinson at third, Johnson at second, Belanger at first. So the bases are full of birds. And here is Elrod Hendricks.
Strike three.
Strike 3 it is. This is not too far removed, of course, from the year of the pitcher, 1968, when Bob Gibson had a 1.12 ERA. So Palmer will try to add to his own cause here with 1 out. You can't bunt in this situation. He's just going to have to swing away. That's a base hit down the right field line. We told you Palmer could hit. He's got another double. 3 runs are going to score. No, it's not 3. It's going to be 2. A 2-run double for Palmer. The runner at first got thrown out at home, which was Belanger, but still a 2-run double. And Palmer 2 for 2 today. How about that? Merv Redeman as they go back to the leadoff spot. Grounder to first. Pitcher covering, and that's the 3rd out. So Baltimore has now scored in 3 of the 4 innings we have played so far. At the end of 4, it is 4-1 in favor of Baltimore. Jim Palmer gotta be getting tired after all the base hits he's getting. He's 2 for 2 in this game. He's facing Foy, very capable leadoff man for the Senators, and that's hit well into the outfield, and Blair makes a running catch. So 1 out. Palmer tips his cap to him. Here is Toby Hara. Ball 4. So Hara aboard. He would go on and play for the Cleveland Indians. That brings up Richie Scheinblum. Runner going. Throw to second. Safe. And in fact, it's an error as it got by the middle infielders, and Hara goes to third on the error. And that's the first error of the game for Baltimore. So now Scheinblum, with a 1-1 count and 1 out, will try to bring the runner in. Popped it up. And it drops. The runner at third gambled and went with it. It did drop between the shortstop, left, and center fielders in that Bermuda Triangle, and it's 4-2 now. Frank Howard, if he gets a hold of one, we're tied. Strike 3. Let's see how many strikeouts Palmer has so far in the game. He has 3. He's actually walked 4. But then again, he's 2 for 2 at the plate. Here's Mike Epstein.
Strike three.
Strike three. So Washington only gets one, and it's 4-2. Paul Blair against Pete Broberg. Broberg so far, 63 pitches, surrendered 9 hits, 4 earned runs, and has gotten 1 strikeout. That's popped up to right. 1 out. Scheinblum with the putout. Frank Robertson up. Robinson. We'll call him Robertson. Might report me to the commissioner of baseball. Over to first. Put out. Boog Powell. Ball 4. First walk surrendered by Broberg, who is still in the game, still fresh. He's still in that little green area there. Robinson, Brooks Robinson, your new hitter, with 2 outs. Popped fly. The right fielder getting underneath it. He can. And that ends the scoring threat for Baltimore in the 5th. We head to the 6th. It's 4-2 Orioles. Del Unser, center fielder, up for the Sens. That's hit. And that's an infield hit for Unser. Johnson charged in but could make no play. So again, tying run at the plate for Dick Billings. Billings grounded to third. Can they turn 2? They can. Which pleases the Baltimore faithful. We're to 2, and here is Bernie Allen facing Jimmy Palmer. Not bad. We've played 5.5. It's still 4-2 in favor of Baltimore. Broberg's still in. Palmer's still in. Davey Johnson, your new hitter. Johnson would eventually play for Atlanta and hit 40 home runs in a season in a couple of years. I think it was 73 he hit 40 for Atlanta. 1 out for Belanger, the shortstop. Broberg. That's a base hit, getting just to the left, as you see it on TV, of the shortstop. Looked like it got by the left fielder. So it's going to be a single and an error there for Bellinger. Here is Elrod Hendricks, and then we got the great Jim Palmer coming up, who's already 2 for 2 in this game. Hendricks skies this to right, and that's Scheinblum making the grab. And it was Bellinger moving to third on the sack. So now you got Palmer up with 2 outs. He's 2 for 2 today. Can he make it 3 for 3? No, he cannot, as he strikes out. So Washington gets out of a jam in the 6th. It's 4-2. Jim Palmer now facing Pete Broberg, pitcher against pitcher for the second straight at bat. Palmer deals. Grounder to the shortstop, over to first in time. 1 out in the 7th. Jim Palmer now facing Joe Foy. Ball 4. Foy aboard again. Toby Harrah against Jim Palmer. Stolen base for Foy. I believe that is his second of the day. He's leading all the hitters right now in the Atlanta lineup. Not the Atlanta lineup, the Washington lineup. So Harrah working Palmer. Hit the center. Looking at the center fielder. Ball coming down. He makes the putout. Foy's going to advance to third with ease. Palmer's still in there, and he's facing Scheinblum now. Scheinblum, 55 power, not a real threat to tie the game with a home run. But he gets a base hit. That's going to score Foy. Scheinblum on board with an RBI single, and it's 4-3. Palmer's still there. He's had 127 pitches, and he has pitched 6 2/3. He's gotten in a little bit of trouble with his control. 5 walks against 4 strikeouts. Here's Frank Howard. And Howard's a guy you got to be careful with. Here's the pitch. That's a base hit to right field. But watch the lead runner. He'll try to get to third. He's in there safely. So runners at the corners now. Scheinblum at third. Howard at first for Mike Epstein, and he's got a little mash in him with that 73 power. Palmer still in there, but he's being worked right now. Epstein hit well. It's going to get by the center fielder, and this might score a couple. Epstein at second. He'll hold there, but 2 runners are going to score, and Washington, your new leaders, at 5-4. Now will they stick with Palmer? They do. He's at 131 pitches. He's facing Del Unser. Ball 4. So when's Earl Weaver going to come out of the bench and yank him? Out of the dugout and yank him? Billings, your new hitter, Dick Billings. That's hit well, but out. Blair underneath it. And we are 5-4 going to the stretch. And we'll get out of that music as quick as we can. Here's Redmond for Baltimore. Did not see if Broberg was still in the game. He is. Terry Crowley coming in. And let's see, that's first, second, third. In favor of the center fielder, Blair. He's got 70 power. He could tie the game with a swing of the bat. Ball 4, he gets on board. So that brings up Robinson. We'll see where Crowley fits in on the defensive scheme of things in the Washington 8th. And here is Robinson. Hit well. And let's see, that is an out to the left fielder, Frank Howard. And now it's Boog Powell, the last chance for Baltimore in the 7th. Jim Palmer touched up for 3, giving the Senators a 5-4 lead. See what happens here. Ball 4. So it's Crowley at second, Boog Powell at first for Don Buford. He is also pinch hitting. And let's see, he will come in favor of Brooks Robinson. So definitely have to check the Baltimore defense when we get to the 8th inning. Buford hits it to left. And that's an out. So Baltimore playing some matchup baseball in the 7th. It doesn't work for them. We go to the 8th. It's 5-4. Now let's check the lineups here. Pete Rickert comes into the game. Rickert. And he is the new Baltimore pitcher. Perilla will come in and play left field. Rudderman moves over the center. Robinson stays at third. Tom Chopay, your third baseman. Mark Bellinger stays at short. Johnson stays at second. Powell will stay at first. Elrod Hendricks staying in at catching. Rickert will come on. And he's looking at Tom Grieve, who will be a pinch hitter. And he comes in favor of the second baseman, who is Ron Hunt. I do believe. No, Ron Hunt played in the Montreal game. My apologies. Whoever the pinch hitter was, he's now out of the game. That's McGrieve. That's Grieve. Tommy McCraw comes in as the second pinch hitter, so we'll have to check the Washington lineup with great dispatch in the bottom of the 8th. So Rickert, the lefty, working McCraw, and that goes to the left field for a base hit. And McCraw in there with a double, so he has blazing speed. He has 62 speed, 72 stealing. So back to Joe Foy, lefty-righty. Ball 4. So Washington, have they detected a flaw here in Baltimore's pitching? We shall see. Toby Harrah now up. Grounder to first. That's going to advance the runners. Richter covered. There's now 2 outs, but there's now runners at second and third for Richie Scheinblum. Grounder to third, over to first. Out. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-4. Let's check the box score, if we can, and see who was originally in. It was Allen, Bernie Allen, who was the original second baseman for Washington. That was bugging me that I didn't know. Now, we'll set the lineup for Washington in the defense. Howard, Unser, and Scheinblum, still your outfielders. You got Joe Foy now playing third. Toby Harrah, shortstop. Now, did Foy move from another position, I am wondering? No, he always played third base in this game. Harrah is the shortstop. Cubbage has come in to play second base. Mike Cubbage. Epstein staying at third. Joe Grisenda, I'm guessing that's how his name is pronounced. He will pitch in relief, and he faces Davey Johnson to get the bottom of the 8th started. Hit to center field and a base hit for Davey. So Baltimore with a threat. You got Mark Bellinger now up at shortstop. Ball 4. So now the winning run moves to first. Elrod Hendricks comes in. The pitching spot in the order is now 5th for Baltimore. Hendricks now. Base hit. We'll see if that brings the runner in. It does. He's safe, and it's 5-all. Davey Johnson with the game-tying run. And now Washington now at a disadvantage, a steep one. Runners at first and second. Nobody out for Sam Perilla. Sharply hit, a base hit. Looked like that just got by the second baseman. And the runners will all hold up one position. Bases loaded for Merv Rediman. We have Chopay in the game playing third base. He will be up. He's in the on-deck circle right now. Grisenda getting rocked. Infield in for Washington. And that's going to find a nice little spot in shallow right. 2 runs are going to score. And it's 7-5 Baltimore with Merv Rediman bringing in 2 on the single. Tom Chopay, your new Baltimore hitter. It's a bunt. And the pitcher only with 1 play, and that is to first. That will move the runners up. Cubbage covered first base as the first baseman tried to give pursuit on the bunt. Frank Robinson up for Baltimore. Ball 4. So the runners are everywhere now. Base is full of birds. Boog Powell tried to do more damage here. There's 1 out in the Baltimore 8th. Slow grounder to the pitcher, to first. He's safe. So the pitcher must have had problems with the transfer. Infield hit for Powell. Powell is only a 6 base running speed. So something had to go wrong for him to get a first base on the infield hit. That brings in a run, and it's 8-5. Bobby Grich up. He is pinch hitting. He's got 70 contact. He would be much more well known for playing for California in the late 70s. He's looking at Joe Grisenda here, who's having all kinds of trouble in the Washington 8th. Wild pitch, got by the catcher. We know that much. 1 run scores. It's 9-5. And the woes mount for the Senators. Bobby Grich still at the plate, looking at a 2-0 count. Ball 4. So the reliever's going to need a reliever here, I'm going to think rather soon. Horacio Pena is your new hitter facing Davey Johnson. Wouldn't you like to be in his shoes? That's hit well to left. Caught by the left fielder, but it's going to bring in a run on the sack. And that was Robinson. It's 10-5 in favor of Baltimore. And Bellinger is your new hitter. I think the Orioles have batted around. I control no team in this 71 simulation. Base hit to left. Another one's going to try to score, and he's in there. So Powell, it's in, and it's 11-5. Baltimore with 7 in the Baltimore 8th. Elrod Hendricks back up again. Ball 4. So the big inning continuing for the Orioles. Perilla back up. Second time in this inning he has been up. So I'm pretty sure now that they have batted around and then some in the 8th. The Orioles have. Here's Pena again. Up the middle. Stabbed by the pitcher over to first. No, it's an error. An error. Throw was off the mark by the pitcher. And the woes just escalating here for the Senators. It's 8 runs in the 8th for Baltimore, and it's 12-5. They're still hitting. Don Baylor has entered the game as a pinch hitter. He would have a great career. That's a base hit. So it's going to be 9 runs in the Baltimore 8th. Make it 10. My goodness. So it's 14-5. It was 5-4 a few minutes ago in this game. And Tom Chopay back up to hit. Skies this to left. Will this be the third out? It is. So Baltimore explodes in the bottom of the 8th. They pick up 10, and they lead 14-5. So Jim Harden comes in to pitch for Baltimore in the 9th. Let's go through the lineup defensively for the Orioles. Perilla, Baylor, and Robinson, your outfielders. Chopay, Bellinger, Davey Johnson, Boog Powell, your infielders. Hendricks is still catching. Harden is your new pitcher. Frank Howard, the hitter. And Washington, who was in good position an inning ago, now looking at a lost cause of a game. Howard strikeout. Like, Frank Howard looks a little bit like Boog Powell, at least from this view. Harden facing Jim French now. French has entered as a pinch hitter as the benches are emptying in another kind of way. Popped up, shortstop, out. Final out now. Possibly could go to Del Unser. That hit him. And Unser will advance to first. Maybe a little rivalry between the Washington and Baltimore teams. Of course, that would go away in 72. Dick Billings. Grounded to the shortstop, over to second. That's your game. Baltimore has won. It was 14-5. We should have enough time to get one more game in, and I want to get another game in. So we'll just keep going. Player of the game was Bellinger. Home runs, nobody. And the player of the game was Bellinger. Bellinger, let's see what he did here. He went 3 for 4. So we'll look at the other games. It was Oakland over Chicago 4-1. Reggie Jackson hit a home run. It was Hunter over Wood. Locker got the save. Hunter, player of the game honors. You just saw Baltimore defeat Washington 14-5. Nobody had a homer. Rickert over Grazenda when they knocked Palmer out of the box, and Bellinger won player of the game. Milwaukee and Minnesota. Milwaukee won 6-4. Parsons over Cott. Sanders got the save. Oliva was the player of the game. No homers. Chicago and Oakland played a double header. Here was the nightcap: 6-4 Oakland over Chicago. Odom over Bradley. Odom took player of the game. California lost to Kansas City 5-3. Rooker over May. Abernathy got the save. Spencer a home run for the Angels. In the National League, it was 6-0 Expos over the Mets. Bailey and Hunt homered. Morton over Kuzman. Morton picked up player of the game. Chicago over St. Louis 3-0. Hooten over Carlton. Nobody homered. Hooten took player of the game honors. Atlanta lost to Cincinnati big time 9-1. Helms, May, and Locklear all homered for the Reds. Gullip over Jarvis. Lee May, the player of the game. In Houston, 1-0 Astros over the Dodgers. Billington over Osteen. Billington took player of the game honors. San Francisco in 12 innings defeated the Padres 5-4. Hart, Mays, and Colbert all homered. Hart and Mays for the Giants, Colbert for the Padres. Johnson over Corkins, and Colbert took player of the game honors in that one. So we move on. And the minor leagues, I have included the minor league players in this 71 sim, just in case they are needed, because if you play a game without minor league players and if you're replaying a season, sometime your bench gets a little thin. Maybe you get too many pitchers banged up, or maybe, like, say, you run out of second baseman. So I always like to try to include the minors. And again, I am not GMing any team in this. I am just kind of the tour guide. And we'll play one more game. And I would like to play it out in. Actually, what we will do is we will go. I think Minnesota had a good team still at this point. So we're going to go to Sweet Home Chicago for our last game. Actually, I quick played it. Sorry, folks. It was 6-4 Chicago over Minnesota. We'll talk about that later. My mistake. So my second choice would be go to Houston, where we don't have a problem. It's the Cubs and the Astros, and this will be our nightcap for this second part of Random Acts of OOTP. We're at the Astrodome, only 12,000 attending this, so they're not doing good at the gate. So we'll go through the lineups. Leo DeRocher and Walker. I think that's Harry Walker are your managers. Kessinger at shortstop for the Cubs. Pepitone first base. Hickman center. Williams in left. Ron Santo at third. Tim McCarver is catching. I did not set the historical lineups for all of these teams, so you could see players in other places as we go through 1971. So McCarver is the catcher. Beckert at second base, Johnny Callison in right. Bill Hands is the pitcher. As we play under the dome in Houston. And speaking of Houston, Joe Morgan will lead off. He's batting first, playing second. Bob Watson in left field. Cesar Cedeno at center. Jim Wynn at right. Dennis Menke at first base. I once met Dennis Menke's niece in my radio travels in the Tampa Bay area. Roger Metzger at shortstop. Doug Rader at third. Johnny Edwards catching. Ken Forsch is your pitcher for the Houston Astros. And let's get started from what was still the brand spanking new Houston Astrodome. We will set up some camera angles here. I like the wide low angle, because you could see a lot of things. And they had gone to turf by this point. I'm sure this was like a 1965 shot of the Houston Astrodome. So we start off with Kessinger facing Ken Forsch. Here's the pitch. And that's to the center fielder, Cedeno. 1 out for Chicago. Pepitone, your new hitter. Chicago contended in 69. Gave the Mets all they could handle, but it was the Mets, of course, taking everything in 1969. That hit to the left fielder for the out to Bob Watson. Jim Hickman, your new Chicago hitter. He plays center field. It looks like it was hit well to center. Let's see. Caught by the center fielder. We haven't had a home run yet in these 4 games that I have done. Scoreless, we go to Houston's first, and here is Joe Morgan. He's facing Bill Hands, 64 movement overall, 74 control. See what happens here. This is a little before Joe Morgan would join the Cincinnati Reds. That's hit well to the wall. Got by the center fielder. Morgan's going to go for third. Triple. Joe Morgan with a leadoff triple to start Houston up in the first. And that's going to bring up Bob Watson, 74 contact hitter. Base hit, and Houston takes the lead 1-0. Triple and a single. Triple by Morgan. Bob Watson with the single. This upper space up here beyond the scoreboard that you see on the bottom is for like gunshots. You would hear gunshots go off, sound effects, and they had little things up here on this top part of the screen. Like if Houston did well, they'd have a nice little celebration. In case you were wondering why they left all this space for a scoreboard and they only used about half of the screen for it. Cesar Dedeno, another contact hitter. He'll try to add to things. That's popped up the left. Williams making the grab. Actually, no, he did not. It was an error. E7. Ugh. So Jim Wynn now up. Got a little oomph in his bat. We'll see what he can do. And that's an out. Dennis Menke up. Yeah, I met the niece. I think it was the niece of Dennis Menke. He told me, "Oh yeah, you're into sports, Paulie. You probably know that my uncle played for the Reds and a few other teams." I looked it up. Sure enough, and that looked like it was skied to center. 2 outs now, and we bring up Roger Metzger. I also went to school with a couple of sons of Chris Shorts, who played for the Philadelphia Phillies and the Milwaukee Brewers. End of one. It's 1-0 in favor of Houston. That brings up Billy Williams. All four. Williams aboard as Chicago tries to get some action back here in the second. Ron Santo. He strikes out. Ron Santo, I think, was a little bit unlucky in his career. Probably should have been a much bigger deal than he wound up being. Tim McCarver, your new Chicago hitter. Runner going, throw to second. Safe. So that's a stolen base for Billy Williams. And McCarver still going here. Hit to the outfield. And that actually was a base hit. Having a hard time seeing the ball in the outfield now for some reason. If you were curious about, actually, that was an out. That was an out. Let's see that again. And my apologies for the screw up. Just trying to take a look at it and follow the ball. Yeah, it was caught by the right fielder. Okay. So we got that straightened out. Now, how did Tim McCarver get to the Cubs? Okay. In the simulation that I'm running, he was traded to the Cubs and by the Phillies, and they picked up Carmen Fanzone for him. Len Beckert up for the Cubbies, and I allow that to happen. I allow things that wouldn't have ordinarily happened to happen in this game. And Beckert, while I was talking, got a single to center, and we're tied at a run each. Johnny Callison now up. I remember Callison playing for the Phillies. Of course, he hit that game-winning homer in the '64 All-Star game. So the Cubs only pick up a run, and it is a run each. In fact, let's look up Callison. I'm feeling a little frisky since it's the last game. In real life, he did play for the Cubs in 70 and 71, so there was no trade. Bill Hands working Dud Raider. Pitcher will be up third in the ninth. Third in the second, I'm sorry. One out. Here is Johnny Edwards.
Strike three.
Strike three called. Two outs now for Ken Forsch, who will test his mettle as a hitter, and he strikes out. End of two, we are tied 1-1. We'll be calling it a day right after this game, folks.
Strike three.
Strike three, and that was somebody. That was Bill Hands at the plate. Don Kessinger up. Kessinger, that was a good stroke. Hit to right. Kessinger rounding the bags. He's going for third. Triple. He hit it to right. Looked like the right fielder could not get an immediate handle on it. And Kessinger on board. He gets three bags. Here's Joe Pepitone. Pepitone, this could get in. Second baseman did get to it. Two outs now for Jim Hickman. Strike three called. So the Cubs do not score in the third, and we are tied at a run each. Bottom three, we go to Joe Morgan again leading off. He had a triple his leadoff at bat. Grounder, one out. Bob Watson facing Bill Hands. I think that was by the Pepitone got it. Pepitone is playing first base. Cesar Cedeno now hitting. That was Bob Watson who was just at the plate. Cedeno strokes that well. It finds the gap. He's got second base. He's going for three. In fact, he's going home. Inside the park home run. Inside the park home run for Cesar Cedeno, and that is worthy of a replay. That's the first home run we have had in this series of games I've been doing, but it's the unconventional way. It is an inside the park job. Let's look at it again. Okay, you see it there. It's hit to center, shoots the gap in left center field. They're bringing the ball in. By this point, Cedeno saying, "I'm going for home," and he beats the throw. He'd already gotten almost to third base, and he just said, "I'm going for it." Inside the park home run, and it's 2-1. Houston, and here comes Jimmy Wynn. Ball four. So Houston was known as a pitcher's park back in this era, where you could turn triples into inside the park home runs, and you could turn doubles into triples because you have those inviting gaps in left center and right center field. Here's Menke facing Bill Hands. Strike three, and that gets the Cubs out of the third without more damage being done. End of three, Houston 2, Chicago 1. Here's Billy Williams. It's also considered a very tough place to hit a home run, though it has been done. Williams to center, one out. Cedeno with the putout. Forsch facing Ron Santo now. Hall of Fame third baseman, or he should have been. Grounded to right for a base hit. If he didn't make the Hall, he should make the Hall. Great ambassador for baseball in Northern Chicago. Here's McCarver. Good contact hitter. That's a base hit to right. That'll move the runners up 90 feet. No, Santos going for third. He's safe. So Chicago has come right back and has a threat going in the fourth. McCarver moved to second. As the throw went to third, they didn't check McCarver running to second base. So second and third for Glenn Beckert. He's already got an RBI. Infield in. Beckert hits it to the center fielder for the out. Here comes the runner. Double play. Nicely done. An 8-2 double play. So Houston survives without giving up a run in the fourth. It's 2-1 in favor of the Astros. And now we got Roger Metzger up. Passing the 2-hour mark of this video, Metzger grounded to the second baseman. He's got to eat it. He did make a throw over to first, but way too late. That is going to be an error. And that brings up Doug Rader, Metzger at first. See if he'll run. Rader, little duck snort to center, base hit. Rader's going to try for third. He's in there safely. Some nifty base running by Houston. That brings up Edwards, Johnny Edwards. Nobody out, and Houston with runners at the corners. That holds up a base hit. That'll bring in a run. It's 3-1 in favor of the Astros. Runners at first and second for Ken Forsch. You know he's going to bunt here, right? He does. To the catcher, over to first for the putout, and that moves the runners up 90 feet. Joe Morgan trying to keep it going for the Astros. Sounded good off the bat. Hit to left field. Sacrifice fly. And it's 4-1. Bob Watson now up to right field. Out. Houston picking up 2 in the fourth. They lead 4-1. Forsch facing Johnny Callison of Chicago. Sounded good off the bat. Did Cedeno get it? He did. Diving catch. Nicely done. 1 out in the Chicago fifth. They lead. Houston leads 4-1. I'm going to have a piece of candy here because I could feel myself slipping a little bit now. Bill Hands, the pitcher for Chicago, he will come up to the plate. All 4. This is not an error where you pulled the pitcher for a pinch hitter in the 5th inning. So with a runner at first, it's Don Kessinger trying to make good contact with the ball here because that's his strength. Right fielder going back and made the putout. That's Jim Wynn. Pepitone up. Hit to the second baseman over to first for the putout. That would be Joe Morgan. Nothing across for Cincinnati. Houston batting now in their 5th. Here's Cesar Cedeno. Infield hit. Looked like, but nope. Cedeno out by a step for the first out. Jim Wynn. He's hit the left. Sorry, folks, for eating while I'm commentating. But all I have been doing the last 2 hours is drink water. So I haven't had anything to eat. Brought candy. I brought a little small pieces of candy just in case. Dennis Menke. Second base, over to shortstop for 1, over to first for the double play. Houston out of the 5th. We go to the 6th. 4-1 Astros. Jim Hickman to face Ken Forsch. To the shortstop, over the first, 1 out. That brings up Billy Williams. See what happens here. Force punches him out. He's got 4 strikeouts on the day. 84 pitches through 5 2/3. Ron Santo. Second to first, the 4-3. And Chicago already out of their 6th inning. Houston leading 4-1. We'll recap the day. April 8th, 1971. Give you a look at the standings, and then we will call it a night. Here on the Twitch channel. My next show will be over on YouTube, The Meet with Big Paulie. Bring you a nice guest, and if not, I will do the show solo. Roger Metzger up for Houston. Grounded to the second baseman over to first, and there's 1 out in the Astros 6th. Doug Rader, your new hitter for Houston. Ball 4. He's aboard. Past 9 o'clock here on the United States East Coast as I record this. Hands now looking at Johnny Edwards, the catcher. The pitcher spot due up next for Houston. Another 4-3 grounder that moves the runner to second in Rader. Now Kenny Forsh at bat. He's 0 for 1 on the day. Base hit here would be nice, but it's a slow grounder to third, over to first. Houston out of their 6th inning. So it's 4-1. We head to the 7th. Forsh still in there. He's facing Tim McCarver. And in the game, McCarver was traded to the Cubs from the Phillies. And I allowed that to happen. I did not use real lineups or historical transactions. I just going to let the game fly and let the chips fall wherever they may. Glenn Beckert, 7-hitter, up for the Cubbies now with McCarver aboard. He hits it to right center. Caught by Wynn, and there is 1 out in the Cubby 7th. Johnny Callison. Base hit to right, it looked like. He couldn't get to it. Lead runner goes to third. No, they did not. It was Wynn making a nice throw to punch out McCarver, which we could not see. Good 9-5 play there. Hands now up to face Forsh. They'll keep him in. Popped up to left. Out. And the Cubbies get out of their 7th. It's 4-1. Morgan up. Houston in the 7th. Clouded that one, but it was caught by Callison on the track for the first out. Here is Watson. I presume. Watson, a base hit to center. Cesar Cedeno now up for Houston. Popped up, caught by the shortstop. 2 out. Here's Jim Wynn. And that's ball 4. So 2 on, 2 out for Dennis Menke, first baseman, who will go on and play for the Reds. Grounded to the second baseman over to first. That's your 3rd out. So we go to the 8th. Still time for the Cubbies to get back in this one. It is 4-1. John Kessinger up for the Cubbies. He leads off. And that was an out. Menke went right to him, and that's the first out for the Cubs in the eighth. Pepitone. Second baseman picked up the grounder. That's Joe Morgan. He's got good range. Goes over the first, and there's two outs now in the eighth for the Cubbies. They're down to their last four outs. We bring up Jim Hickman. Ken Force still pitching, as is Bill Hands, and we're in the eighth inning. And this is what you saw in the 70s, at least the early 70s. That's a base hit for Hickman. One on with two out. Force still in there to face Billy Williams. We had no substitutions in this game as of yet. Williams to left center, caught by the left fielder. And Houston out of the eighth. The Cubs putting up a goose egg. Everybody's still in for the Cubbies. Bill Hands coming out for the eighth inning. He might go all the way. He is at 106 pitches. So Metzger. Many pitchers in 71 could go 130, 140. Grounder to the second baseman over to first. Out. They get Pepitone scooped it up. And that's one out for Houston. Second baseman's Glenn Beckert, by the way. Doug Rader, the seven hitter, playing third, up for Houston. Grounder up the middle, a base hit. And Johnny Edwards now up for the Astros. I nearly wanted to say the Oilers. Of course, this was around the time the Oilers were also playing at the Astrodome, and they did until they moved to Memphis and then Nashville, Tennessee. Played 1 year in Houston, the Liberty Bowl before a facility in Nashville. Nashville wasn't ready. They had to play their game played a year in Vanderbilt Stadium before they got a stadium of their own, and they became the Tennessee Titans. Here's Johnny Edwards. Caught by the center fielder, which was Hickman. Two outs now in the eighth for Ken Force. Force staying in the game. He's going to try for a complete game here. Caught by Hickman again. Hickman was busy in that eighth inning. We'll go to the ninth. It's 4-1. Force staying in. He's at 113 pitches. He'll bid for the complete game here as he faces Ron Santo. Grounder to the pitcher over to first. Steady as she goes for the Astros in the Cub ninth. Tim McCarver back up at center, playing catcher. He's back up at the number 6 spot. 2 for 3 today and 3 for 10 overall on this young 71 season. Hit well to center. Drops in. McCarver. Is in there safely with a double. I had to check the play-by-play to be sure. Now, Force stays in. They're going to bring in Beckert. No pinch hitting moves. We haven't had a substitution by either team yet. We're almost done with this game. Beckert to center. Cedeno underneath it for the second out. Now the Cubbies down to their last out. They're going to stick with Callison. Fred Gladding has come into the game, so Force could not finish the job. So the call to the bullpen was made, and Gladding will try to get the last out. With the tying run on deck, this would be a save situation for Gladding, I do believe. Hit to right. Win. Makes the catch. Houston wins 4-1 as we wrap up play. These first 4 days of 1971 in my sim. You see it there. It was 4-1. Your final, the player of the game, Ken Force. She went 8 2/3. They did not want to leave him out there to get that last at bat. And looking back at it from a 2021 perspective, I could totally dig it. No home runs. There was no home runs in any of the games I did tonight. So I hope you like good defensive baseball. Although Baltimore had a 10-run eighth in the game that I did. Okay, let's summarize what happened on April 8th, 1971, and I'll get on out of here. Show you the standings real fast before I go too. Performances of the day: Steve Arlen went 7 for the Padres in a 5-3 loss to the Giants. Alan Foster went 8 2/3, a 3-1 win over Boston. Don Money 2 for 4, a triple and a homer, but the Phillies lost to the Pirates 5-4. Now, let's get you to the other games, or the games as they progressed. It was 3-1 Indians over the Red Sox. Foster to win over Siebert, and Lamb got the save. Foster was the player of the game. The game I accidentally quick played that I wanted to show you was the White Sox 6-4 over the Twins. John over Perry. Romo got the save. Tommy John, player of the game, and Leo Cardenas hit a home run for the Twins. Angels over the Royals 3-1, even though they had 3 errors. That's kind of a dirty line score. Wright over Nelson. LaRoche made the save. Wright was the player of the game. In the National League, a much fuller docket. The Mets lose to the Expos again, 4-3. Marshall over McGraw. Raymond on the save. Renko was the player of the game. In 11, it was the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Pirates over the Phillies 5-4. Giusti defeated Selma. Money was the player of the game. He hit the home run for Philly, his first of the year. And you just saw the Astros over the Cubs 4-1. Cedeno with the home run, an inside the park job, as you saw. Forsch over Hands. Gladden got the save. Forsch was the MVP. And finally, another game that went extras, the Giants over the Padres 5-3. McMahon over Ross. Barr got the save. Arlen was the player of the game. Dave Kingman and Barton of San Diego, Bob Barton, hitting home runs. So let's show you the standings real quick. Everybody's played a few games already by now. Very early in the 71 season, and when we come back, we'll start the games of May. Cleveland has a half-game lead over Baltimore in the American League East, but still very, very early yet. In the AL West, the Athletics and the Royals are tied at 2-1. Milwaukee a half game behind. In the American League East, the Cubbies a half game behind the Pirates. Pirates 2-0, Cubs 2-1. Houston 4-0, the Reds 2-0. So Houston is up 1 game with the 2 games in the win column divided by 2. And that's how it's going in the American National League West. I beg your pardon. So that does it for tonight. We were with you 2 hours and 18 minutes. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's stream. And we will be back next Tuesday, Lord willing, and if the creek doesn't rise. This has been Big Polly coming to you, wishing you well. Godspeed and God bless. I'm TB Polly, of course, on Twitch, and I'm over at the YouTube channel, Big Polly's World of Sports Sims, and I have a Facebook group with the same name. Look that up. Put Big Polly's, apostrophe between the Y and the S, World of Sports Sims, and you will find me on the Facebook groups. We've got 10 members, and I've only been doing this about 2 weeks. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoyed doing this with you. Bye-bye for now, everybody.